possible. If you're nodding your head in agreement, you are absolutely not alone. Many parents face sleep challenges with their kids, and oh my gosh, the impact on quality of life is astronomical. According to a recent study, sleep disorders may affect as many as 50% of children and pre-adults. And when kids don't get the sleep that their developing bodies require, it can lead to everything from disrupted family dynamics to cognitive and behavioral problems to ongoing health issues. In other words, the phrase sleeping like a baby may not be quite as accurate as we all wish it were. This video is for parents who've tried everything to help their kids to sleep, from magnesium and melatonin to lavender and essential oils, maybe even crying it out, and they're absolutely tapped out and exhausted. Whether your child is struggling to fall asleep or stay asleep or both, this video is a must-watch for you. Now, parents, what we're going to do in this video is we are going to take a closer look at sleep disorders in children, what they are, what might be causing them, and what parents can do to help their little ones to get the rest that they so desperately need. Now, before we go any further, I want you to tap that like and share button and subscribe. We want to make sure that you get all this information so you can get maximum value out of the resources that we're providing. You know, moms and dads, I've been doing this for a long time. And one of the biggest challenges that we see coming in constantly is parents saying that my child's not sleeping. I know with one of our patients, our buddy Caleb, when we first started taking care of his family, his mom had said that in his 5 years of life, when we first started seeing him, he had never, ever slept through the night. He was a terrible sleeper as an infant, terrible sleeper as a toddler. And when I met mom, she said that it would take him forever to fall asleep, and he would also have many wake-ups throughout the night, every night. So if you're a parent and you've had a child that 5 years into life, they're still not sleeping, can you give a heads up and say, yeah, that's me? Because I can tell you, as a parent who went through that for a year, I couldn't imagine what 5 years of this would be like. And so she came in and she was absolutely exhausted, barely had slept for the last 5+ years, and was still waiting for her child to finally sleep through the night. So I want to tell you that there's a lot of hope. You know, after just a few months, right, 3 months in care, when Caleb had gone through his third progress exam, he was sleeping through the night every night. By progress exam 2, he was sleeping pretty darn well, getting to sleep pretty quick. By 3, he was out every single night by 9 p.m. and sleeping through the night every single night. So if you have a child that's struggling with sleep, I want you to know that this is a very, very real and natural solution to your child's sleep issues. But I want you to understand more than just that this can help. I want you to really understand why so many kids are struggling with these sleep issues, because the number one cause of kids and parents alike that are causing kids and parents alike to struggle to fall asleep or stay asleep is an overstressed and overly active sympathetic nervous system. Let me restate that. The number one cause, by a lot, is an overly active sympathetic fight or flight nervous system, because the nervous system cannot be in growth and protection mode at the same time. So if the nervous system is in stress mode, it will always be aroused. It will not sleep the way that it's supposed to, because the nervous system is not designed to sleep while stressed. See, we refer to the sympathetic nervous system as the gas pedal. And it's completely normal to have it extra active during the day as we're growing up, moving and doing things. But at night, our nervous system is supposed to start to wind down and relax. And what's called the parasympathetic rest and digest side is supposed to kick in and activate and get us ready to go to sleep and eventually sleep. This neurological control mechanism, or on, off, or even say dimmer switch for sleep, actually resides in the upper neck and brainstem area right here, and is mainly run by a very important nerve called the vagus nerve, which you may have heard of. The vagus nerve is the most important nerve in the body by a long shot, and it's very easily injured during birth interventions and traumatic birth. And it's also very sensitive to both chemical or toxic and emotional stress. The most common findings we see again and again with children and patients who are struggling to sleep is what is called subluxation of that upper cervical and brainstem area, leaving their nervous system wound up and stuck on the gas pedal, and the vagus nerve and the brake pedal not working properly at all. Since sleep is so crucial for health and development for a child, it's the very first thing that we start to work on as neurologically focused chiropractors. And therefore, it's the most common improvements parents report to us once starting care, as shown by this chart. Now, let me go ahead and share this with you, because I think it's important you actually see what is being said by patients. So if you look Very first thing that parents report, number one thing, is improvements in sleep. 44% reported that there was a sleep improvements were like the most significant thing. And these are really cool improvements because moms and dads, this is long game. This is across the board, pretty early on in care, parents are reporting these kind of changes. So if you've never heard of the vagus, I do want to spend a moment on this because the vagus nerve is this really cool nerve that happens to reside right at the top of the brainstem. So if you look at this, so that big, long red nerve, that's the vagus. That nerve is called the wandering nerve. It travels from the brainstem area all the way down the spinal cord and goes into every major system within the body. It runs our heart, it runs our stomach, it runs our small intestines, it runs our swallowing, it runs drainage of the inner ear and sinuses, just in case you have a kid who also struggles with ear infections or chronic congestion. But it's intimately involved in the growth and development of the brain. Interestingly enough, Dr. Stephen Porges, in his polyvagal theory, actually mapped out the different roles that the vagus plays as compared to the sympathetic. And if you look at it, right, it's got these different areas that it activates. There's the freeze functions, right? When you see improper function here, which what they call the dorsal vagal, so we see things like negative outcomes like dissociation and numbness and depression and raised pain threshold and helplessness and shame and shutting down and hopelessness and preparation for death and trap. These are the improper functions of the vagus, things that we don't want. What we want is we want the ventral vagal to be super active, which is where we see calmness and connection and settlement, groundedness, and curiosity and openness and compassion and mindfulness. But we also see things like increases in digestion and motility and resistance to infection and immune response and rest and recuperation. All these things, because these are the jobs that the proper function of the vagus are going to create. So we want the vagus to function calmly and actively in the way that it should. But a sympathetic response can trigger this cascade of improper function in the sympathetics and a downhill and improper function in the vagus if we go far enough down the path of stress, because it's a cascade. That's why this becomes important you understand that it will go through this period of high stress. And once we get to a point where the sympathetic nervous system can no longer keep up, we get into this downward spiral of vagus, which is leading to very significant negative outcomes. So moms and dads, I hope this gives you a better understanding of some of the things that we see here as it relates to vagal tone, vagus function, because if you understand that these things are happening in the background of your child, hopefully it gives you a better understanding of how your child's nervous system can change. That's what we see all the time. That's why kids like Caleb get such significant changes, because when we activate the vagus through the adjustments, we kick in that parasympathetic nervous system, helping the brain to go back into a rest and recovery state so that it can really turn the corner and begin to sleep and recover and see all those other changes that you saw on the chart that were not just sleep. And that's a really cool thing. So moms and dads, before we close, I have a couple things that I would like to ask. If you're concerned that this may be the case with your child, contact our office. We are happy to help. You can go to elitefamilykairos.com and you can request a consultation or exam right through that site. Also, I would ask that you continue to ask questions, because moms and dads, the most important thing that you can do is be curious. Find out what other resources are out there. So if you have any questions about anything that we discussed in today's video, you can go ahead and drop a comment beneath wherever you're watching this, whether it is Facebook or YouTube or Insta, wherever it might be. Drop your comments beneath and we'll get right back to you. You can even send us a DM. You can go to Facebook and DM us, or Instagram and DM us, and we would be happy to contact you and discuss any questions that you may have. Next, I ask that you share, because usually, if you are a parent of a child that is struggling with sleep issues, you probably know somebody else who's going through it as well. And regardless of that child's age, this can help them. So make sure that you share that with somebody else that would value this information. Also share this with family, friends, Facebook groups, anybody that can benefit from this information. And last, if you're looking for additional questions to be answered in terms of resources, you can go to our website, elitefamilykairos.com, go to the blog section where we have additional articles there, or you can go to pxdocs.com, where there's a bunch of great additional resources, research articles and things like that you may find of value. So moms and dads, if you have questions, please contact us. Otherwise, I will look forward to seeing you in the next video. God bless you guys. Have a great one.